Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the series focusing on the social, emotional well being of students during COVID-19. Today, I will be talking with my favorite middle child, Makayo, who is a sophomore in high school. I hope that the insights that he shares will encourage his peers to cope during these unprecedented times. Parents, teachers, and other caregivers will also have the opportunity to glean some insights from a teenager's perspective. And I hope that it will serve as tools to figure out how to best support those in their care. It was a warm and easygoing conversation, and I hope you will enjoy it as much as I did while talking to my son. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Teacher's Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Maxine McFarlane. We are in the middle of a global pandemic, and life as we knew it is not quite the same. On March 13, 2020, I said goodbye to my students. I told them to have a great weekend, and I said, I'll see you on Monday. They decided whether they wanted to give me a high five, a hug, as they left the classroom, not knowing that we would be out for the rest of the school year. I've gone through many different emotions since that day, since that Friday, the 13th. And I have been reflecting on what it's like for my students and other students around the world who are adjusting to life in a pandemic. I'm concerned about their social emotional well-being, even more so than I am concerned about their academic side. And so I decided to engage in a series of episodes in which I speak to students at various levels. And today, I am excited to have my favorite middle child, my own son, Makayo, joining us. And I was reflecting on a quotation that he famously came up with. I think it was during middle school when he said, and I quote, "I learned to say here when the teacher hesitates while taking attendance." And that's because people tend to mispronounce his name. So first, Makayo, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to have you. Why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself before we get into this conversation about social emotional well-being. And Makayo is here to bring the perspective as a high school student.
Okay. My name's Makayo. I'm Miss McFarlane's son, 15, and I'm a sophomore in high school. And yeah, what else do I need to know about?
Whatever you'd like to share, that's good enough. If that's what you want to share, that is perfect. All right, so he's going to bring the high school perspective to this conversation. And like I said before, I'm really focusing on how the students are doing. They're no longer in a school building. They're not around their friends. They're not going through their regular routines. And I just want to check in to get a pulse of what is happening. So, Makayo, how has this experience impacted you and your friends emotionally?
Well, me personally, even though I'm at home, I still feel like more emotionally stressed somehow, even though that's not how it should be. I feel like at home I should be more relaxed. But I don't know, and it's the virus isn't even like personally affecting me per se. It's just, I guess, with it all up in your face, and then the schoolwork on top of it. I feel like you're juggling two things, and that may be just pressure that I'm putting on myself. But even with my friends too, some of them have expressed like feeling stressed, though we're all at home. And you would think that it would be the contrary when you're at home with your family, but I guess tensions get high and then they get even more stressed than they should be, or if they would be if they were still in school.
And I'm guessing it doesn't help much when your mother is breathing down your neck, reminding you that you
No,
need
it
to
doesn't
you
at
need
all.
to complete your assignments. Um, and I totally understand the stress. I'm caught in a dilemma because I want the boys to understand that I really want them to not be so far behind academically. There's going to be the long weeks of summer, and that creates a natural gap in their learning. So if they can just dedicate themselves to spending some time engaged in some learning activities to keep their minds fresh and engaged in their content, their syllabus, then that will help them not to fall too far behind then in the next grade level. But that emotional piece is, you can't discount it. It's really, really impacting all of us. Makai, how has your physical and mental stresses changed? I know you kind of touched on a little bit of that in your with the previous question. I know stress is one of the words you mentioned a few times, but how are those stresses different now that you're not in a school building?
Well, you get less stress from. Well, I still get stress from school, but I feel like it's decreased due to the fact that teachers are slightly more sympathetic in assigning the work because they don't know your situation, they don't know how people's homes are set up. So it's less like actual stress from the schoolwork, but I think, like I said, just the stress of the situation and then being around the same people all the time in the same place and doing the same things every day just eventually just it doesn't help your mental state, and then you can't really go many places at the moment. So you're just in the same environment, just constantly repeating everything, so it does get mentally straining at a point.
Mm-hmm. What are your relationships like now compared to how they were during first semester? Like your relationship with your friends?
Definitely closer. I think since I've been given the opportunity, since we're all at home,
That's a
we
surprise to
we
me. Now that you're physically away from your friends?
yeah. It's the fact that we're not all doing something after school. We're just or even in school because you don't have classes with some of them. So it's just everyone's at home. We don't have as much work, so you just yeah. Since everyone's at home and you don't have as much work, you're able to build relationships with people. So even though you're not physically there, it still helps.
Why do you think that's so? What are some of the things you think that contributed to you being feeling closer to your friends now?
Because we have more free time to talk to each other versus while we're in school, it's less time to have interaction. Like the, the, the one period of time that's guaranteed, and that's not even guaranteed because you might have a different lunch than them, but lunchtime is
Mm-hmm.
like the one time where you may get to see them. But since there are three different lunches, you might not even have the same lunch with certain people that you would like. So it's just now that we have all of this free time, we're just able to interact with each other. So it's just the increased time on our hands.
What do you use to help you cope with all of these things, the stressors, being away from your friends, and all of that? What is it to help? What is helping you to get through this?
I mean, I like going out in nature helps. Going out in nature helps, and reading has helped. That surprised me because I didn't realize how much I missed it because every time that I would have to read, it would be for school. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I just sit down and casually read, it's also relaxing. Um, just lying down, like that's underrated. I just lying down just helps. Sitting down and doing nothing helps. I couldn't do that except when I was going to sleep. So just sitting there and relaxing, putting on music and just just doing nothing, it helps. Um, yeah, because I like that's also my time to clear my mind, because sometimes when you think about what's going on too much, then it just makes your mental state worse. So that just helps to clear your mind and relax yourself.
Okay. So, on that point, that brings me to my next question. What is your most enjoyable moment while you're in quarantine?
Definitely playing basketball with my two other brothers. Um, that's a highlight. Or spending time with them in general, because now Malik's home, so we're able to do more things.
Malik is.
Our oldest brother, who's in college, he's home now, so he's the one with the license, so we can go and play basketball. He's home, so we can hang out with him, and it's just nice to have the three of us together. So it's definitely made some memories.
The bow tie trio is
Yeah.
back together again.
Oh gosh.
All right. I've always believed that no experience is wasted. And even though the circumstances right now are not ideal, what lessons have you learned from this time of being out of school, Makayo?
if well, the thing that I've learned is, if if people really care about you, then they'll make an effort to show it. Because I went about doing like just my little personal experience experiment, and I said I wasn't gonna hit anybody up, and just wait and see who checked on me, and then those are the people that I talk to now. Because if people really do care about you, then they'll go out of their way to make sure that you're doing well. So those are the few people that I've kept in contact with. Everyone else I'm not even in contact with right now. I would see them at school, but it's just eye opening, and it's nice to know who really has your back.
Who are your true friends? Yeah, this was a good test. Like I said, I want to come out of this pandemic better than I came in. So if it's even to learn a life lesson that I can apply, that's a good thing. Um, what are some final words of encouragement that you would want to offer to your peers? Kids, students like yourself who are in high school and coping with this pandemic. Something that will encourage them. Because like you said earlier, it can be stressful, it's an emotional experience.
I think we all just need to find a way to do something, because when you're not doing anything, you're just hurting yourself. I think just saying you're bored and just sitting there and doing nothing is not going to help yourself, when you could just that this is the time when you should use your brain and just find different ways to either be creative or just learn more about yourself or the people around you. I think there's always something to do. You just have to go and find it. So I'm seeing a lot of my peers talk about they're bored, but I think we just need to just use our minds now, and better ourselves. This is the time when you should be bettering yourself.
Time for creativity. I agree. So I have three final questions that I want to ask Makayo. What inspires or motivates you? This is just general now.
The fear of failure. I just I there are two images I have of myself, and there's one that's successful and one that's not. And I've looked, like I've mentally traveled through both, and I do not want I don't want the second one. So that's what motivates me to keep going, because if I end up failing and I see, not necessarily, maybe I was going to a mental extreme, but I saw just like a general idea of what it would be like if I don't achieve what I want to achieve, and I don't like it. So I'm just not even trying to go down that road. So that's why that's why I'm able to keep focused, because I just don't like failing in general.
That's a very profound answer. I like it. All right. You're not just letting your life happen to you. You've already processed and have a clear path in mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next question. What's a life lesson that you can share with the world? Once again, this is a general thing. Something that maybe you have come to realize in your life that you think would be a good thing for others to hold on to.
I would say not to return hate with hate. That just goes for life in general. I think when you can return, when someone sends, whether it's a hateful word or action or something towards you, if you can return it with a kind or loving reaction, then I think that's a positive change, versus you continuing to send back hate and evil, and it just creates a cycle that will continue. But if you can break the cycle and send back kindness, then I think that'll solve that issue. And that summarizes a lot of what goes on in this world. People return hate with hate rather than with love. So in general in life, you should just not do unto others what you would have. I messed that up. What
you should do unto
you
others.
should do unto others what you would have them do unto you.
All right. This child was born with a heart of love and kindness. He's always been that one to look out for the welfare of others. So I'm not too surprised by his response to this question.
How nice of you to say.
All right, Micaiah, here's your chance to tell me about your greatness. You know I tell you about your greatness all the time. Now is a chance for you to tell me about your greatness. And I want you to frame it within the context of this question. How would you like to be remembered? You have a couple more years left in high school. When your friends, maybe on your graduation day, think about Micaiah, what do you want to be remembered for? How would you like to be remembered?
As a persevering person, because I don't like when I think that there's an opportunity for me and that door is closed. There's always a window. So I feel like me as a person, when something is taken from me, or not taken from me, but when it's not there for me anymore, I feel like I'm a solution-oriented person. And so I like to try and find different ways to reach my goal. So I hope I'm remembered for that. That would be a nice thing to be remembered for, because it's what I pride myself on. I'm being a perseverant person and always trying to get towards what I'm reaching for.
Wow. I hope that as Micaiah and I have reflected on this experience together, and he has brought his perspective as a high school student, it will help all of us as caregivers, as parents, as teachers, to get a window into their mind and to see how they are processing this challenging time. So I just want to take a moment to thank you, Micaiah, for being here, for sharing your wisdom, because it's been a while since I was 15, but there are many other parents who have children who are 15 years old or within that age range who would benefit from the insight that you shared. Thank you so much.
Pleasure was mine.